Hey, my name's Ken Ball. I'm the CEO and owner and acoustic engineer at Campfire Audio. And it's great to be here in Hong Kong, and thank you for having me. The name Campfire Audio has a lot of connotations, and we're from Oregon. It's known for its outdoor spaces. I personally love going in the outdoors and camping and having a campfire and being away from people. And there is sort of a connection with actually with earphones, in that when I'm out in nature and at night and in the middle of nowhere and the sky's above me and I have the fire in front of me, there is sort of a meditative quality to that. And it's similar to people who really are into earphones. They listen to music, and you kind of get into that zone, and it's sort of an inward journey, I think, listening to earphones and also being outdoors, looking up in the sky and seeing all the stars, and thinking about sort of where we fit into the world and everything. You think about like the Andromeda Galaxy, for instance. It's a trillion suns in the Andromeda Galaxy. That's 1 million stars, and the light from the Andromeda Galaxy is 2.5 light years away. So it's very far away, even though it's supposedly close to us. So you kind of get a bigger, broader picture of where we are in the universe, and so with that whole thing, with the campfire and you're out in the outdoors, I just find it very relaxing and very meditative. And when I'm listening to music for long periods of time, I kind of get the same sort of feeling as being in the outdoors. So we draw inspiration from our environment and nature. And Campfire is all about trying to get as close to the music as possible. And so we're trying to produce an instrument that will allow for some more inward reflection and sort of meditative experience. And so that's the correlation with the name and the astronomy and the stars and everything. It's sort of interrelated there. It's no secret that we are known for trying to use as few passive components as possible. We try to do things differently at Campfire. So we do most of our tuning via sort of in the analog spatial acoustic domain. And so we try to use as few components as possible for a reason. And that's not the easy route or the fastest route, but I think it's a very specialized way of tuning an earphone so that it's as clean as possible in terms of the production of sound. So it's all about sound pressure, sound volume, phase manipulation. So it's all front-end load acoustic bores, geometries, back-end loads. We're trying to use as few components as possible, less crossovers as possible, to try to get the most natural sound possible. And it's something that we've learned over many years in the lab, and it's a situation where we do a geometry, attach that to the speaker, measure it, and you're going back and forth over and over again, measuring, changing the bore, changing the geometry, measuring, back and forth over and over again. And so it's not an easy path, but I think it's the best way to do the most natural tuning as possible. Not a lot of people do it that way. Yeah, I mean, these new planar drivers are, I think, only until recently started becoming quite good. Prior to a couple years ago, they weren't sensitive enough to use. And so luckily I've hooked up with a couple of these companies that produce these sort of new planar drivers, and I find them to be technically superior to a lot of the other drivers available. And so yeah, I mean, I think they're wonderful in terms of their impulse response, their impedance, how flat they are, just the technical ability of them being a flat diaphragm where it's all moving in one plane. I just love the way they sound, how fast they are, how accurate they are. And so yeah, we plan on using a lot of planar drivers in the future, just because I love the way they sound over a lot of the other dynamic drivers and BAs that are on the market right now. So yeah, we're going to push hard at using planars in the future. Yeah, so it's a dual planar, and I particularly like that it's got a dedicated 6mm planar tweeter, because this is something fairly new in the market in terms of a raw tweeter. And so I like having dual planar because of its purity in design. So it's not polluted with another type of driver, so it's all planar, dedicated tweeter planar, dedicated mid-low planar, no crossover. And so I think in that respect, in terms of the purity, it's fairly unique. Now the 6mm planar was particularly difficult to work with, because when I received it and measured it on its own, it didn't measure all that well in terms of being able to use it. And so that's why we created our own acoustic front-end PPR device, because that particularly got it to measure smooth. And so that was an 8-month engineering effort to get that to work. But I feel that in terms of its purity as a pure planar, so you're taking advantage of all the things that are great with a planar, the speed, the resolution, the detail, the imaging. It's just, I think it's a different sounding earphone altogether. And that's what we wanted to do, is produce an earphone that is completely different in terms of the sound and what you get. And at Campfire, we're always trying to do something different. The way that we tune things, the way that we don't use a lot of components, the way that we use a lot of these spatial acoustic assemblies in front and behind the speaker, is all things that are trying to create an earphone that is exceptional and totally different from our competitors. Typically, a manufacturer will add components to manipulate the speaker to get it to measure the way they want. We try not to do that. We try to use careful speaker selection and then careful positioning of the speakers in space to try to situate it so that they play well together, so the phase cancellation is corrected. And in doing that, one of the things that we're fairly good at is creating a sophisticated front-end load, which is basically a spatial acoustic geometry that's sort of in the analog sort of domain, because you're dealing with geometries and air pressures, air volumes, and we're manipulating those so that the output of the driver is shaped how we want it. If you just throw the speaker in like a tube, it will be terrible. And so what we're doing is we're doing all these fairly elaborate geometries in front of the driver to manipulate the sound reproduction. And in the video that we produced, there's a representation of that, a visual representation of that shows sort of that shaping. And it's not the easiest way to do it, but I think it's the only way to do it in order to get the special sound that we get from a Campfire earphone. And then these are things that me and the two engineers that I work with have developed over 10 years of working with speakers. And so that PPR is sort of an 8-10 year development of us sort of experimenting in our lab and learning how to manipulate sound waves out of a speaker. And that's what both of those elements are. And I think we're just now starting to get really good at this sort of new type of sophisticated tuning that gets away from a lot of passive electric components. Less in the signal path is always better, and that's what we're trying to do with some of the Campfire earphones. And this particular, the Astrolith, I think really exemplifies that. You can't get that big sound, you can't get that layering, that imaging without this work that we're doing with Campfire Audio, with the PPR. I would say it does exceptionally well for all types of music because of the technical ability of the whole system. The resolution, the dynamic range of the Astrolith is exceptional. However, I personally feel that like a jazz or fusion, hip hop, rap, that electronic music particularly it's fantastic with those type of genres. But that doesn't say that it's not good for rock or classical as well. Because of the technical ability of it, it's great for all types of music, but particularly for the ones that I just mentioned, it's off the chart good. I would recommend that. If you're into those types of musics, I'd give it a shot. Campfire wants to produce earphones that are different than our competitors. We do things differently, we tune things differently. So we want to continue to push that envelope and try to make the world's best earphones that are different and unique and special for each individual. Like each one is very different. And so we want to continue to try to find and source the best transducers we could possibly get our hands onto. And right now, planars are kind of have my eye sort of piqued my interest. So I plan to use a lot more planar technology drivers in the future. We want to do maybe some active earphones in the future. We want to try to do new technology. We want to try to push the boundary of what an earphone can produce in terms of making something sound as good as possible. That's what we're all about. No, other than that, I appreciate everyone's passion in this sort of hobby. I know that the Hong Kong listeners are very, very detailed. They know what they want. So we're very eager to please people in Hong Kong because I know that they're hardcore audiophiles here, and they really care about their music. And so we feel particularly, we particularly want to please these type of listeners because they care so much about the quality of the earphone, how they look, how they sound, all the little details. They care a lot about that. So we just feel that a close connection to people that are really inspired and are really passionate about this hobby. So that's pretty much it there for that one. But yeah, it's great to be here in Hong Kong and to be able to talk to our customers and get the feedback from people here is really wonderful. So thanks for having me.